It's truly a privilege to follow the most humble and modest Minister of Police and Corrections in the entire Western world, because, of course, we have the most uncorrupt police force in the whole world, and it's all the Minister's own work. And I'm gratified, Mr. Speaker, that the Minister's got them tasers, next she wants lasers, then she wants bazookas, then she wants Sherman tanks for our bowies on the beat. And I'm thrilled that the Minister's managed to lock up an extra 50,000 prisoners. Soon she'll be personally locking up the whole of Wellington. Ka pai, kia ora, taminita. Mr. Speaker, it's almost as embarrassing as Nick Smith lecturing our departed former colleague about mental health issues. And it would be funny if it weren't so sad. There's the man who was deputy leader for about a day and then had to have 3 weeks stress leave. So let's not have it from that side about stress in politics. We all know why Nick Smith was stressed, don't we? Because there was a little vote for the leadership, and the majority of one changed at the last minute. And let's just recall who that one was. Who was it that was going to be Bill English's right-hand man and then mysteriously became Don Brash's right-hand man? None other than the Prince of Darkness, the Svengali of the National Caucus, Jonathan Key. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, Honourable English and Right Honourable Key do not take tea to this very day, and why Honourable English says we will loosen foreign investment and Right Honourable Key says we will tighten foreign investment rules, and Honourable Key says it will be an aggressive recovery and Honourable English says it will be a bumpy ride. They do not take tea. The lingering stresses of that time are with us still. And that is one reason, sir, why this government has no plan. Because its top two cannot agree on one. And therefore they lurch from polling and focus group to focus group and polling. And I had to pinch myself in this debate, sir, because I thought I was in a parallel universe. I found myself agreeing with Sir Roger Douglas for about 4 minutes of his speech. He was talking about the importance of principle and getting your bearings and doing what you think is right and making a difference for the sake of the country. And I agree with him on all of that. And I agree with him that polling is helpful to teach you how to sell it and how to market it when you know what to do. And that is not what this government is doing, and he's absolutely right about that. And what this country needs, sir, is a strategy. It needs an economic plan, sir, because every New Zealander knows that we are not making it. They know that there is something seriously wrong, to quote Hamlet, in the state of New Zealand. They know, sir, when they are standing in the cold winds of winter outside the boarded-up shops and there are 30% of the premises in downtown Auckland empty, that this is no kind of recovery. And they know, the families in my electorate in Kelston and New Lynn, when Dad lost his job and they are living in a caravan, they know it's no kind of recovery. And when this government is talking about the brighter future and turbocharging the economy, tell that to people who don't have their own home, who don't have a roof over their head, who can't afford to pay for the groceries, while this government is borrowing to give a third of the tax cut money for the top 5%. A third for the top 5% and borrowing to do it, and they lecture us about economic strategy. The New Zealand people, sir, are sick of government by focus group. They are sick of poll-driven, stop-start flip-flops. They are sick of mining Schedule 4 conservation land, firing workers at will, cycleways to nowhere that have created no jobs, a 2025 task force that didn't see the light of day, and you can always tell, sir, a government that is on the back foot because to explain is to lose. Somebody should have told the National Research Unit when they were writing the key lines for this debate that to explain is to lose. And that is why it is embarrassing for them that Bill English, in John Key's absence, had to reiterate what their so-called strategy was. And we took notes, because no New Zealander can work it out. But here's what they said. Tax reform, infrastructure, deregulation, attacking workers' rights and slashing public services. Do them one by one. Tax reform. Rebalancing failed. Property depreciation was underdone on private residences, overdone on business assets, overdone on short-life depreciation. And they missed $2 billion worth of avoidance rorts on LAQCs, and they lecture us about tax reform. Infrastructure. It was the Labor government that trebled the investment in infrastructure, multimodal, for our roads and our railways and our ports. And it is this government that has merely continued the level of spend but diverted it 12 times to the Korpu Bridge, and now the new member for Rodney, Mr Joyce's election plan is based on the Holiday Highway to Wellsford. Fantastic. They lecture us about infrastructure. Deregulation, Mr Smith talked about. Well, deregulation's kind of like having a hedge and giving it a clip once a year. Of course you clip the hedge to keep it back in bay, because otherwise it tends to grow. But, you know, clipping the hedge is not ploughing a field or landscaping your garden. It's just a hedge. And deregulation has got its place, but it's something that happens every year to keep the public sector in good order. But it is not a growth strategy. Someone needs to tell the government that deregulation is not a growth strategy. Attacking workers' rights. If they couldn't mine conservation land, they are going to mine the well-being of New Zealand workers by having the right for any boss, from the biggest Fletcher Challenge or Fonterra to the littlest corner dairy, they can sack their workers without notice, without cause, without the right to a PG, without explanation in the first 90 days. And I predict there are going to be a lot of 89-day wonders in the workforce. A lot of 89-day wonders of people wondering why they got the boot. And it's a plan to drive down wage rates. Well, what is that strategy about? Are we going to get rich by trying to catch up with China on low wages? $1 a day, $1 a week? How low is low in the National Party limbo dance for worker degradation? That is not a strategy. Look at them with their heads hung down. Where's the... Oh, Maestro's awake. Maestro in the back row. The brilliant architect of the Mount Albert campaign, the motorway to the Mount Eden prison. That member is awake. Thank God somebody is. Mr. Speaker, it behoves every responsible opposition to say what it would do if it had the chance, and the Labor opposition is up for it. Labor has been working hard in the background. We've had policy working groups for Africa, and this government's in trouble because when our plan hits town, the New Zealand people are going to see the difference between poll-driven panic and proper policy. And here's a foretaste in the economic area. Number one, a proper growth strategy includes investment in R&D, not cutting R&D tax credit, fixing the innovation pipeline, developing a productivity framework that covers capital, skills and technology. Rolling out ultra-fast broadband would be a change. What an oxymoron. There's nothing ultra-fast about that rollout. It's been 2 years. They haven't put an inch in the ground. Time for a reshuffle for Stephen Joyce. Invest in clean technology. Leverage our clean green brand to create jobs. Build market opening and encourage exports with a proper economic development strategy, which the Honourable David Parker will lead. Proper rebalancing of the economy. Invest to close the savings gap. Build our domestic savings industry. Don't cut KiwiSaver. Pre-fund New Zealand's superannuation. Push harder on the tax system. Stop the rorts. It's obvious. Stop the rorts and remove distortions. Walk the talk on fiscal responsibility, including intergenerational equity. Don't put super on our kids because you cannot tell the truth to their parents. Mr. Speaker, close the external account gap. that's partly exports, it's partly savings, and it's a lot about owning our own future.